Hi all. Right, more DD at Saipan. I'm getting quite a lot done now, just trying to get it moving. This will be part 13 about to start. I don't have an awful lot of time now, but again, I can get wee bits in and cut and come back to it. I had the 2 or 3 comments from Martin back in part 10. What have I got? I've got part 11 out there now, and I've actually done part 12, that's right. So this is part 13. Haven't reviewed back part 12 yet. He's noticed a mistake I made. Yeah, sorry, it was a text message. And it was when landing in blue 1 box, and this is part 10. So, yeah, I think we can probably fix this, can't we? Yeah, I've taken out B123 it is, B123. What happened was we had a blue... yeah, because all the landing cards are away. In fact, we've drawn quite a lot of cards now, haven't we? All the checks for the AFVs and certain other checks for movement under fire. It was a blue triangle in here. Now, I straight away looked and thought, right, there's no blue here. This blue position we've already taken. However, I didn't notice this. And, well, he reckons it fires into there. He did say he thinks it'll fire into there. I have to say it looks like it as well, doesn't it? I mean, I know it's a one that'll fire into here. And, well, actually, no, there's a brown position in there, isn't there? Is that brown? No, that's purple. So, in actual fact, the brown fire into here probably comes from there, which I hadn't really noticed. Yeah, because there's not another brown. So that kind of tells you that blue does indeed fire into there. Because there's not another brown position. We've got red, purple, blue, and the stuff under that, it's nothing. So yeah, pretty sure that's right, that this blue would have fired into there. Now I took a note, it was B123 that was the triangle. And he's not there, right? Where is he then? He's disrupted. Oh, well, that makes it quite easy. He would have took a hit. He would have took a hit on landing. Does that maybe make the hex not over? That's 4, 8, 10. Yeah, it does. I've landed him in there anyway. So what I'll do is, yeah, that's fortunately, yeah, just got that in time, Martin. We're just about to move on to that part, wasn't I? Yeah, I'm just about to move into here to check for attack, so that was perfect timing. However, I guess the unit was disrupted, but he should have taken a hit on landing. There was no drift on the card, it was a no drift card, but he should have took a hit, so there's his step loss counter. And I'll put that underneath. Here's the triangle, let's say, yeah, I took a note, B123, that's the one. He is hit and disrupted, and it still makes, I think when I landed him, obviously I chose him to land in there, and it was going to be overstacked, because there's already two, well, we've got heavy weapons and 2 rifle companies, so it was overstacked. But you notice you deliberately choose these because not only overstacked, however, I've just put the 2 together because of Martin's question, that overstacked counts as, what's the word? Concentrated. Martin got the answer to that question. I mean, I would have been asking that question too, because his argument there, if you like, is you could still have overstacking, but less than 11 steps, you know? But however, Joe has said that that is, yeah, it's still counted as what's the word? Concentrated. Right, so yeah, we can easily make a fix to that. So thanks for that, Martin. I like to get things sorted like that, of course. Okay, it's another hit to us, but I mean, these things are going to happen. Right, let's push on. Okay, so just looking at this section here, this may well be all the time I've got to do anyway. There is only this one Japanese set of units here that we can really attack in this area. They've again joined up 2 detachments, joined up Now we've got the Elite 1 in there, which is taking away the CC. So we've only got a bazooka requirement. We've got a 3 strength requirement, and that's just a clear hex. So basically we need 9 strength to eliminate. And remember, they count as 1 unit, so they will get destroyed together. However, one of them's not a non-elite unit, that's fine. However, one of them's elite unit, and he's going to go there, isn't he? Assuming we're doing all that right, he's going to withdraw back to B9. So that tends to want me thinking that we want to maybe move some of this into B9. And, well, the fact that we know exactly how much strength that we need for that, and only a bazooka as a required weapon, I'm pretty sure we should get it from these 2 stacks. And if maybe something from there, maybe. So I've just got to look through the stacks. That's what I'm going to have to start doing, is just pausing it, because I'm going to make a mess of the stacks of counters. And yeah, that's one bit I'm not so keen on, because I like to keep things tidy as well. I know you've probably noticed that, and seeing what's disrupted underneath, weaving wee bits out. I don't know if I might start scrapping that, because I mean, is it really helpful to know? I suppose it's helpful to know what's above disruption and what's below it counter wise, but I still need to go in and have a look at what they actually are, don't I? I mean, I could take notes. I could take notes of what's in specific hexes, but I think that would be, yeah, taking things too far, wouldn't it? Okay, so we've not got, there'll not be any movement under fire there. That is right. I mean, it needs to be undisrupted, surely. Well, the description of movement under fire. The movement of a US unit or stack from a hex containing a field of fire dot of a Japanese position that is occupied and undisrupted, revealed or unrevealed. So the revealed status doesn't matter, but it does need to be undisrupted. So that's the whole good thing about getting round about. Now, do we want to push on the hex? Now, this looks like a good area where we could be grabbing points. I feel like there's not so much a Japanese presence there. Is it to move through the swamp? It's 2 movement to move through a swamp, and they only get 3 movement within turns 1 to 4, don't they? So, I mean, because right now I think I could move 1, 2. If I wanted to move into this hex, I could move a bit further afield, but we just need to control the hexes around about. Maybe I need to read more into it. Again, I've still not sat down with the rule book and had a good look at some of these things that I'm wanting to understand better. So the player receives 1 victory point for... Oh, and by the way, before I talk about that, Martin also commented on that he wasn't sure about the victory conditions either. He commented on these red the dotted lines, saying that they were as far as you could deploy units, maybe. I mean, the fact that it shows a solid red line... Yeah. I still got to feel that this is a 0-1 line. I don't think we can really argue against that. I'm pretty sure that is certain, because there's no way we could get units away up within 4 turns to the other area. So, yeah, he didn't really come out with any sort of great insight into what it was all meaning, really, to be honest. He's a bit unsure himself, so fair enough. Right, so what was I reading about the victory points? The player receives 1 victory point for each friendly occupied hex adjacent to the 0-1 line, the red dash line on the map. The hex must be occupied by at least 1 undisrupted unit that has a line of communication back to any US beach hex. So it's actually it's not regarding control, that, is it? So it's just occupying the hex. And we need 15 of these to carry on the game. I mean, if we're going for an outright victory, I don't want to stop after game turn 4, because we all know these D-Day DD games only start getting interesting once you get all the lettered actions coming in. So I want to push on that, but I guess I was just wondering how the rules situation was going to go and how smooth the game was going to play. And yeah, we have had our issues up to now, but we're sticking with that anyway. So again, I'll decide come the time. And I know you could say, yeah, you're only stopping there because you've got enough points to win, or vice versa. It's I just can't make my mind up. I hopefully I'm going to play the whole campaign, right? Because I don't really want to go back and start again. Not really. I'd rather just carry on. Right. So I guess it's just the occupied hex. It would surely tell you about control, wouldn't it? Just try to find the rules for control. Where are they about? Yeah, control and communication. Page 24, rule 12. Control and communication. Any US units of the following types control the hex they occupy. Gives you a list. Pretty much, infantry, HQs, regimental, HQs, engineers. What the heck's that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that. Maybe that's a misprint. I think it maybe meant to just say engineers. Yeah, because there's no mention of engineers. It just says HQs, engineers. Command posts, garrisons, tanks on an airfield hex. And then a US unit of either of the following also control the 6 adjacent hexes around it, even if disrupted. Infantry with 3 or 4 steps, or 2 US infantry infantry battalion HQs, or engineer units stacked together in any combination and possessing 3 or more total steps. So there you go. Yeah, you could stack a couple of units together and get control adjacent hexes. But it doesn't look well. Actually, it did say we needed to trace communication. But I think it seems. Well, to be honest, US communication was always reasonably simple, wasn't it? I say that there was some bits of it caught me out, but it might have been the other way about. It might have been the Japanese communication or the enemy communication, because I might be talking about Omaha here. Japanese communication. Where's US communication then? It doesn't. Where? There it's there. Right, it's right at the top of the page. 12.3 US communication. US units must be able to trace communications to landing beach hexes when determining victory. A hex is in US communication if a path of hexes of any length can be traced from the hex to any US landing beach hex. The path may not pass through any hexes occupied by or in the field of fire of a Japanese unit. And 12.3.1 follows up with that, because I was just about to talk about disruption, but I don't think disruption matters. Well, maybe it does. No communication through Japanese field of fire. US communication may not be traced into or through a hex in the field of fire of a Japanese unit, even if a US unit occupies that hex. US communication may be traced out of a hex in a Japanese field of fire. A disrupted Japanese unit's field of fire blocks US communication, which is what I thought. An empty Japanese position has no field of fire for purposes of tracing US communication. So if the position hex is occupied, whether disrupted or not, wherever this fires into, we cannot trace a line of communication through those hexes. So he's pink, so there's a hex there. We cannot trace through that hex. That's pink as well. Sorry, I'm saying pink now. It kind of looks pink, yeah. It definitely looks pink on the map. Anyway, purple, pink, whatever. Okay, so, and just quickly, I suppose, while we're looking at that, just get Japanese communication, because I'm pretty sure it's reasonably simple as well. It says the Japanese position must be in communication to 1 receiver reserve unit, 2 receive a death. Well, there's an exception with infiltrate action there. 2 receive a death marker. 3 withdraw after being defeated by US attack. 4 perform certain lettered actions. Japanese position is in communication if it can trace a path of hexes from its hex to any hex along the northern or eastern map edges. The communication path may not pass through any hexes occupied or controlled by US units, nor may it pass through a US landing beach. Okay, I thought there was 12.2.1 negating US control for communication. Japanese unit in a hex adjacent to a US unit negates US control of that hex. Yeah, okay. When tracing communication for an unoccupied Japanese position, or for the position occupied by both Japanese and US units, position's hex itself can be in US control. No, I thought it was something that said that a Japanese unit could stop. I think that's the bit I'm talking about there, actually. It's just talking about control, really. Right, so you can see Japanese communication is pretty straightforward. What was it, north and the east map edge? Northern or eastern? Oh, okay. So that, north, the compass, you see the compass there, north is up that way. So that must be the north edge. And then obviously right along the back is the east edge. So it doesn't mention which will be the south edge. Yeah? So that doesn't count. But you can see they can just trace, and it's any limited number of hexes. So if you're cutting off communication, you need to get right round them to stop it from happening, really. Yeah, I was just thinking if I had something that I could really... I've just knocked a stack of units. Hang on. Not quite sure how that happened though, so I knocked the map or something. No damage done though. I was looking at the strengths in here, and there's more than enough strength to take these guys out. But remember this elite we were trying to shut off. Then I started thinking, wait a minute, can I not, because he's disrupted, can I not get around the back here? Well, actually, and then I thought I could because he's disrupted. However, it does say a unit must end its move if any of the following apply. Number 3 is the unit enters a hex adjacent to a Japanese unit, even if that unit is disrupted or in counter-attack stance. So that doesn't allow me to do that. However, I have just looked at the other possibility. Is this yellow fire in there? Oh, it does. So that's a movement under fire. Because if we can get a unit in this hex, and then somebody in that hex, as long as we control that hex... Oh, wait, Grant. Can you not just get something in there? Does that not stop it? Yeah, that'll stop it, Grant. We just need something in there. Because then he can't trace into there because we control that hex, and he can't trace through there because we control that hex. Because remember, there's a 4-step infantry unit, and we just read what it controlled, didn't we? Infantry with 3 or more steps. This is a US unit of either of the following. Also controls the 6 adjacent hexes around it, even if disrupted. Infantry with 3 or 4 steps. So we control this hex. And at the moment we control this hex. However, he's got an out just now. But if we move the units into there. So I think my first move is, and I think I'm going to move them all in. I did think about moving, but this would be a movement under fire as well. I'm going to move in there first, and then I'm not sure if we want to come across that way or not. So I think I'll use all of these guys and then move them all in. It's just 2 infantry battalions. One has a step loss. That's disrupted. There's no movement under fire. There was no AFVs to look at breakdown possibilities or anything like that. So that now is shut off communication to this disrupted elite unit. So now, when we make the attack, however we're going to do it, we should be able to eliminate him completely, I think. And that was a free action for it to do that. So yeah, unfortunately all my yakking there's run me out of time, I think. So I'll just put this on pause just now. Might get the chance back later. If not, I'll be attaching a bit more onto this. That's only 20 minutes gone by, so We'll attach in a bit. My plan is to hopefully finish the US action phase in this part, but, well, I've had the plans before, shall we say. Right, I'll be back later, okay? Cheers. Hi all. Right, back to continue. Oh, I've knocked that stack off again. My arm must be hitting it or something. Sorry. Back to continue. Finish off. This is part 13, I think. I say finish off. We'll try and finish off the US action phase here. Quite a few things I'd like to talk about. Quite a few more questions Martin's posted, a couple of answers. But I don't have enough of time right now. So unless anything I do is relevant to what's been spoken about up to now, I'm just going to carry on for the moment. Sorry, wee dog's here. So yeah, I was looking at this. I'm going to attack this. I've now got this locked off. This is not in Japanese communication, I don't believe, because we control this hex, we control this hex, we control this hex. So he's not got a trace. So if we do eliminate this, this elite unit will not survive. It won't be able to escape, and it will be eliminated. So we've got 3 strength, and we only need bazooka as a requirement. So basically, to eliminate that, we only need 9 strength. Well, I've not looked at what's in this stack, but you know what? There's 10 strength in this stack. Yeah, my arm's definitely hitting things there, because that's more stuff getting moved. There must be the way I'm coming across here. I'm nudging things. So 10 strength. I don't think I need to use that heavy weapons unit. So I might just leave that there just now, because we might be able to move stuff into here. So I think I'm going to put this down the bottom, but we're going to attack with this 10 strength. We're going to have the weapons. Now the hex itself is clear. As far as I'm aware, there's no benefits to that. So we're going to have 10 to 3. So we're going to have 3 to 1 odds. We're going to have the weapons. Japanese unit is alone, because remember, the 2 units count as 1. So Japanese eliminated. And like I say, no communication path for them. So both these are... Now this other one, Japanese elite units eliminated. Right, sorry, got distracted there. Right, so it's just double checking. So elite units out of communication are placed in the Japanese elite units eliminated box. So that's where that's going. I'll just put that one face up, actually. And then the other, did they take the machine gun unit away? I must have done. Okay, right. Okay, just thinking about what I'm doing with the rest of this stuff. I think I'm gonna, now these get free action from the regimental HQ. The problem is I'm thinking about moving these into here, and it's kind of split and think, well, I suppose this is HQ. He can command all this in here, can't he? Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm going to move this lot in here. So this is going to be in steady yellow and steady green. Oh yeah, it still is a movement under fire. But I don't want to go from there to there, because that's intense yellow. Mind you, it is disrupted. Well, steady green fires into there as well. Yeah, but the thing with this one is, although it's not a green movement under fire, it's just a steady yellow. Oh no, he's disrupted, Grant. Right, forget about all that. Yeah. So I'm going to move these. Fortunately, these have got the chance of breakdown, because they're moving into a railroad hex. But I think it's better moving these into here. So, well, let's just move them one at a time. So we move that one in. It's into a railroad hex, not via the railroad. Now, I assume that if I went from this hex to this hex, I wouldn't make that check, because you're actually going along the railroad. Railroad. Yeah, it says +1 for an AFV along a railroad. 1, and then a road is 1, and it's got U in brackets. I don't know what that means. Unlimited movement? I mean, maybe. So it's a +1 anyway. And yeah, it must just be roads that these AFVs are gaining from. I mean, I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? They're vehicles, so going on roads. I mean, a vehicle on a railroad, yeah, doesn't sound good. So it's a +1. It's only 1 movement cost for an infantry unit, a leg unit, but it's a +1 for an AFV. And then for a road, it's 1 for a leg unit, and for an AFV it's 1, but it's got in brackets U. Well, we'll read more about that once we get on roads, maybe. However, is there a road there too? No, there's a road bit up there, isn't it? Is that not something we should... maybe I should be moving these guys onto the road then. Possibly. I don't know, I want to get these 2 units. Yeah, I think I'll stick with my... So, we do need to still check for disruption though, don't we? Is that right? Yeah, and if it's going along the railroad, it doesn't check. It wouldn't check for breakdown if it's travelling along the actual railroad. It's only when it moves from a hex, not a railroad into a railroad. Are you wanting to do this, Grant? I think so. I think I want to get close to these guys. I mean, it's maybe going to cost them an action to do anything unless we bring... Well, we might well be bringing the regimental HQ along. Right, okay, let's check for this. Now, is it a circle? Draw 1 card. Is it the circle we're drawing for, I think? 3 asterisks is... If the target symbol of the unit is disrupted, right. So we're going to draw a card for that LVT, not one a circle. We've got a triangle, so he's okay. And then we're going to do the LVTA, and I'd rather this wasn't a circle as well. It's a diamond. We're getting lucky. Good stuff. Well, everything's fine. And the infantry unit can move in, fine. And that was all free from the actual regimental HQ. Okay, and then this heavy weapons unit, I thought it'd be nice to... I think I can move him 1, 2 into here. I think I can move him 2. I mean, he's got 3 movement. I could potentially move him 1, 2, 3, I think. I think so. But I don't think I want to move him into there. Well, why not, Grant? If you can. I guess I was thinking of them being at range, but remember they get halved. Their range, their strength gets halved. I mean, this is disrupted. I mean, that's a clear hex. That's a clear hex, and I'm always going by road as well. So it's 1 movement, 2 movement, and then 3 movement. And then the restrictions that stop here: expend the movement points, the unit enters a hex and then tends field of fire of a non-disrupted enemy occupied position and is not a tank. Well, that wouldn't be happening. We're actually ending a move in intense yellow, but this guy's disrupted. Excuse me. The unit enters a hex adjacent to a Japanese unit. Yeah, it's got to stop then, and that's even if it's disrupted. When a non-tank unit leaves a steady field of fire, this requires expenditure of 1 additional movement point unless the unit is accompanied by a tank unit. And when a non-tank unit leaves an intense field of fire, in a non-movement under fire situation, the unit must expend all its movement points unless the unit is accompanied by a tank unit. When a non-tank unit leaves a steady field of fire, this requires expenditure of 1 additional movement point. Well, he would be moving 1 and then 2 into here. He then would be leaving this yellow steady fire to go into there, but surely it doesn't mention disrupted there, but my guess is it must be when a non-tank unit leaves a steady field of fire, this requires expenditure of 1 additional movement point unless the unit is accompanied by a tank unit. I mean, surely it needs to be an undisrupted field of fire. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it doesn't really say it though, that's a bit that's bothering me. Yeah, it doesn't really say it. So you could actually read that, although I don't, you kind of feel like it doesn't, it must mean non-disrupted, but it doesn't say it. Okay, you keep saying the same thing here, Graham. Well, I think I'm going to take the chance with this one and believe that surely this steady field of fire does not count because this unit's disrupted. And that doesn't mean I need an extra 1 movement point. What do you think? It feels like something that really needs to be, a question needs to be asked about it, doesn't it? You know, because the previous part, although it talks about a field of fire, you know, I mean, number 2 there is the unit enters a hex in the intense field of fire of a non-disrupted enemy occupied position. And then even 3 says the unit enters a hex adjacent to a Japanese unit, even if that unit is disrupted. But then the next 2 bullets do not mention disrupted units. Yeah, I think I might need to ask this question actually. Sorry, I've took these are stacked on here. I was just having a look at what's in here. This is from 3rd Battalion, and 3rd Battalion units are up there, so I might try and put that guy up there beside them. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to do with all these guys. You get there's a lot of units, and yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a great place for me to get the victory points, isn't it? Well, I suppose there's bits all around, right enough. I mean, you got to get 15, but now here I was wondering, it does say just adjacent to that line, but surely either side of the line is not going to give you a point for each one, is it? I was wondering that a few times, and I've meant to sort of look into it more, but victory conditions. The player receives 1 victory point for each friendly occupied hex adjacent to the 0-1 line. The hex must be occupied by at least 1 undisrupted unit that has a line of communication back to any US beach hex. Each friendly occupied hex adjacent to the 0-1 line. So, am I led to believe that if I've got a unit here, I've got 1 point, and if I've got a unit here, I've got another point? Do you think that seems right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see you could get quite a lot. Mind you still need to get 15. I don't know though, I'm looking up at the north end of things, and there's quite a few. I'm going to be quite a few that side, although maybe not crossing that line right enough. It's not going to be as easy to cross a line. And remember, this is only by the end of game turn 4, Grant, so maybe it's obviously meant to be reasonably achievable to get to the 15, I think, to carry on the game. And obviously the 24, was it? 24 rings a bell. I think it was 24. That's obviously maybe not so easy to get. 24, yeah. Anyway, yeah. What did I get thinking? Yeah, I was talking about the stack. I think I'm going to have to go and ask this question. It feels like a bit of a daft question, but again, it's one of the ones that I'm not, because I think I might if I can move these 1, 2, 3 into here, they've got 3 movement points, 1, 2 into the woods, 3 into here. What do we have in here? Yeah. Okay, the LET down the bottom will probably not be able to do all that, but that's the other thing. That's a road that comes down, goes up there as well and around. Yeah, but I'll be leaving steady yellow there to move into there as well. And going by with that rule, the way it says it would cost me an extra movement point. I kind of feel like it does sound a bit daft to consider it when the unit's disrupted, but it doesn't really say. So I think I might ask the question. That's just going to spoil the little bit of time that I've got right now, though. I'm looking at all this stuff, wondering what I'm going to do, though. I must admit. You know, it's not as straightforward what you're going to do down here. I mean, this is horrible. We know this is horrible. This unit's disrupted. And I dare say I want to be in challenging this and this. And I don't know if it's achievable to get up to there by the end of turn 4 or get along there. I mean, I don't know, maybe. I don't know what we're going to do with this. Because that's a pillbox one. So it's got depth, pillbox, and we don't know what it is. So you feel like you're going to have to chuck a lot of that. Okay. Okay, been on pause there for a few hours. Not quite sure what I was talking about when I paused. It got me wondering about if we are... I think because I'm not quite sure what I do here. We know we need to get some units up here to this red dotted line to try and get these victory points. So I'm thinking, well, if we are going to progress and not just do the first scenario, we need to know what the conditions are for the second and then the third. And actually the third, I thought, right, and the campaign is more than the third? No, the third, there's 3 scenarios and the campaign takes in all 3 of them. But just as well, I looked at this because for the campaign scenario, the victory conditions, this is on page 31, 18.5.4 victory conditions. Use the victory conditions for scenario 3, right, which, well, I can mention in a second. But it says, additionally, the US must have met all prior scenario victory conditions. So here was me saying that we just needed to achieve a draw condition. I'm assuming by that we need to actually we need to win, so we need to get 24 victory points by the end of game turn 4. I think, I mean, my initial thought would be the draw so that you can carry on. And I know if we look past in the older games, that's what we would have said. Well, you only had sort of 2, I think you had 2 sort of parts to the game, didn't you? I think the other scenarios were different. I never played any of them. I just probably played the initial scenario first when I first played one of the games. And I think after that, I just played the campaign all the time. But you had to reach out, because my playthrough of Day at Omaha Beach, I failed at the first, was it after turn? I can't remember what it was, but I've got spoilers there. Okay, but I started again anyway, because I made a daft blunder and I wasn't counting things properly, and that's how I ended up failing, I think. So, but then Martin mentioned about this victory conditions, he wasn't sure. But whether I've talked about that since, about thinking that 15, if we've got at least 15, we carry on. But it just says if you've got 15, the game is a draw. And it says there we need to meet all prior scenario victory conditions, which tells me that we actually should be needing to get 24. So 24 for the first scenario. The second scenario requires 32 victory points by the end of the game turn 10. And then the third scenario, which is the final part, end of the game, there are no Japanese units on the map. Yikes. Well, I guess that's what these games were kind of like, though. I mean, I get the feeling Iwo Jima's conditions were like that too, but I mean, the Japanese weren't one for surrendering, were they? And the US took this island, which means that they probably wiped out, well, whether some of them became prisoners or not, but I mean, the Japanese weren't well known for that. They were kind of fight to the end, weren't they? So yeah, there are no Japanese units on the map, and all surviving units of 105th US Infantry Regiment must have exited the map. A minimum of 2 US Marine Corps battalions must have exited the map. Yeah, so it's a wee bit different, the final conditions for one. But that kind of tells me that our first goal was 24 victory points, and our second goal was 32 victory points, and then the third goal is to wipe out every Japanese unit on the map and exit some units. So if we are going to go the whole way, that it's kind of good to know that we need to take every one of these out. Now, I know some are going to pop back up again, but, well, unless we can cover all these position hexes, because reinforcements are going to arrive, aren't they, and spoil things, and what was it? Trying to remember some of the lettered actions where they move about, don't they? We'll get to all them, no doubt, but yeah, it was just to try and get a grasp of what I should be kind of doing here, but that kind of tells me that, well, first of all, I've got to get these 24 victory points, and this is the line that matters. Now, I'm wondering if, see when it goes to here and then it stops and becomes the bigger line. So, I think my guess is this line doesn't count, it's a different line. On that display, well, no, that's not the case at all. On the display, that part between there down is a dotted line, and it's when it becomes the solid line. However, again, on that scenario thing, it calls that solid line the DD01 line, the solid line up the back. But there's no way there's no way that I'm going to get 24 units adjacent to that line from there, away up round there by the end of turn 4. Whereas, we're just we're probably about halfway through finishing this US action phase the way I'm going here. And I can see it taking another part as well, because I'm just being a slug again. I'm not just taking too long to do things and talking about things, and so I can only assume that that's a misprint on that setup map, and it should be saying that it's the dotted line that's the DD01 line, and the solid red line is the 16th to 17th of June one, which goes up the back. That makes far more sense. And my understanding that these lines up there and the black line are, I think, only used if you want to play the second scenario. If you want to start from the second scenario, I think the red line comes in, it does something. And if you want to start the third scenario, I think it's that black dotted line. I'm guessing that that's the best I can come up with. And I'm still going to have to go with the fact that it's this line here. But it does look, on that setup map, this dotted line, this 01 line, does come down there. And I know it actually looks different on this map, because this is where the thick dots, the thick dashes are, and that's the small dashes, and then the thick dashes kind of continue up there, which makes this look like it's not really part of this, but on the setup display it is. So yeah, there's some issues there as well, but whether I want to go and try and find out, get answers to that or not, I don't know if I should bother or not. Yeah, again, maybe you're taking this a bit too serious for this first attempt at this game, Grant, and you know, we've been bogged down a bit. We've had some rules issues. I've struggled at times. I do feel like I like this game, although it doesn't feel as what Iwo Jima was like. It's not quite as like, I feel I can keep going with this just now, but it does frustrate me. Every time, just talking about that dotted line there and what's what, things like that. Once they start mounting up, they start becoming a bit irritating and make you think if, But I think probably I shouldn't be taking it so seriously and trying to, let things go a bit and then move things. I'm not saying about like just breaking rules, but just move these units, get them moving. Let's go after this brown position and this purple, brown. We've got to try and take them off the map, but we've got to try and get to this red dotted line initially. So, this, I don't know what we're going to do about it though. Well, what we certainly could do is get around the back of it and make sure that it's not going to escape. Which, actually, we might have done that already, haven't we? I think that's locked in. This unit's disrupt, but the heat take a step was, they stay at range, by the way. I didn't notice that. So, although he's a 6-2 at the moment, the heavy weapons, and then he drops to a 4-2 next, and then he loses his range when he drops to just one step. But he is disrupted, but my understanding, I believe he still controls both these hexes. But we're going to need him and probably some of this. I think we need to get something moved into here to have a go at this, for instance, Right, well, you're all talk, Grant, so, yeah. It's pretty late at night. I think I've not got a lot of time again. Seem to be saying this a lot when I start. I want to get moving. I want to get this part finished, but... Yeah, another thing, I didn't get the answer. I went and posted the question regarding this being disrupted and does this affect our movement? Do we still spend one extra minute? I mean, you've got to think it doesn't, because it's disrupted, but it doesn't say it in the rules, so, So maybe I should move some other things that are not going to be affected by that first, and then I can come back to finish that bit off, maybe. Okay, I thought I'd have a closer look at this and then see about getting something into here. And then, well, red fires into here. This would be a movement under fire. And then I thought, my next thought was, can I move 1, 2, 3? Can I move right round here with 3 movement? Well, these cost 1.5 movement each to move into. So I can't do that. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that either. I thought I had a plan. I thought 1.5 movement into there and then 1.5 movement into there means that I avoid the movement under fire and I still get to move into this hex. However, that question that I've just went and asked, I'm leaving intense field of fire. So what was it done again? It meant I had to spend my whole movement points, I think. Yeah. When a non-tank unit, and remember we've not got any tanks. I want to feel like that's got to have to be a tank as well, isn't it? It's not, this isn't movement under fire, but I get the feeling it's a similar idea. Well, I could check. Martin asked if, he gave a big list of things that LVTAs could do. Well, are you not better just seeing if there's an LVTA in the stack grant? Because if there's not, oh, there is. So, LVT, an LVT and an LVTA in that stack. Because if we're weaving an intense field of fire, what does it say? When a non-tank unit weaves an intense field of fire in a non-movement under fire situation, and this is what this would be, because if I was moving from there to there, that would be a movement under fire situation. But what it's saying is a non-movement under fire situation is moving from an intense field of fire to not the field of fire, the same unit that we're moving from. So that's what that means. It says the unit must expend all its movement points unless the unit is accompanied by a tank unit. There's the other thing. AFVs only have one movement point through this terrain. However, it's not going to matter at all anyway, because as soon as we move from there to there, if the LVT is not classed as being a tank in that situation, which I get the feeling it is, then we're going to have to spend all our movement just to reach there. So there's no point in that at all, is there? Whereas, moving from here to here with it. Well, yeah, it's not really 100% clear that an LVT couldn't, avoid this limitation. It's not movement under fire as such. But I get the feeling that this is maybe something that has to be done by a tank. Sorry, I'm talking about moving into here. And then it would be able to carry on moving. Well, my plan was just to go out and in. It was just out and in to avoid the movement under fire. So, okay, I'm going to assume that I don't think I can do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move in here with and take that movement under fire, I think. How have I got that? I must have moved them about. That's the... what have we got then? So it's all three of them moving in. The good thing is that, right, well, I'm going to move them in, but we are going to do a movement under fire check for red. I'm not sure if going to this is wise or not. I mean, we're going to land all these. Sorry, but too far zoomed in there. We're going to land all these next turn now. Yeah, I mean, I can't do a preservation move on him because he's disrupted, can I? No, I'm just going to have to remove disruption from him and hope for the best. And then some of these will land next turn. We're going to get a lot in here, but I think we worked out we might have to leave something behind to avoid some issues, but there'll be a little bit of a space in here as well. So, and then maybe we can have something, a couple of range units that might be able to fire into here too, because I think we're going to need quite a force to attack this. Right, I'm going to do this then, just because, yeah, you need to just start doing some things, Grant, really. So this is movement under fire. So we're drawing, and it's intense. But we've got an LVT and LVT in there, so we've got some cannon fodder, basically. So we're going to draw and hopefully not get red. we do get red. So yeah, we'll just leave the LVT back there then. I know they're the ones that can transport, but yeah. I think for the first play of the game, it's just like, yeah. So he's back in there. These two make it into this hex safely. This guy takes a step loss and is going to be disrupted back in here. Which I'll put down the bottom here. Yeah. And yeah, I keep wanting to start talking about the slight blunder that it seems that I've made. When Martin asks you a question about where something is in the rules that you've commented on, you start panicking and thinking, oh no, what have I done? Yeah, it seems he's right. Yeah, of course. Sorry, Martin. I for some reason got in my head that making a preservation move, and I remember talking about it on camera as well. I've replied to Martin with that as well. That I remember talking about on camera, so I must have read something wrong. Now we know that disrupted units, removing disruption. Was it just that? No, I did have it in my head because, well, obviously Wise Martin brought this up, that making a preservation move had to be done at the end. And I was convinced, even when he said, where is this in the rules? I was like, right, I'll find it for you. But although I've not scoured through the rule book or anything, I come to the conclusion that I've just read something wrong. Yeah, disrupted US units. Whether I was looking at removal of disruption or not. 7.6 disrupted units, page 16. The bullet in there is all units must complete their actions during the US action phase before the player removes any disruption marker from US units. Okay? And then the other one, and okay, you can see you may be getting mixed up here as, and it doesn't, I don't think it tells you in the preservation move part. And remember, that's another condition about, if you're disrupted, you have to be adjacent to a Japanese position containing undisrupted Japanese units. That's quite a challenging one to get, and you can't move into intense field of fire when you do it. Yeah, I can't see that happening an awful lot. And I'm starting to wonder if I've looked at that and spoke wrongly about that as well. Anyway, I think it's in it's in free actions. The first number of free actions, after all other actions have been taken, a disrupted unit may make a preservation move instead of recovering from disruption. So they two things, if you're disrupted, and yeah, that's how it used to be. The rule was that after you've done everything, you can remove disruption. I think the way I played the games in the past was I just removed the disruption. So can I not still do that then? No, the thing that stopped me was that I might want to consider doing a preservation move. Like, well, we can't with that one because we're moving in an intense field of fire, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm going to see that one pretty hard to achieve because we are adjacent to a Japanese unit there. I mean, I suppose if this brown position wasn't here and we were moving into that would be a preservation move, but we can't move into that as well because it's... Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, I've spoke wrongly about that. I don't know where I was thinking about it. So I could look back and decide if I want to make normal preservation moves. So from beach hexes, anything that's in a beach hex, I can make the preservation move. I don't need to wait until the end of the turn for that. Which I'm glad he brought it to my attention, because was it not here that I could have made that move? No, I didn't spend an action. I think there was one further back maybe that I wanted to do it, and yeah, it was that. Was it not that last one? That I could have made that as a preservation move, but I didn't want to leave it to the end, so I actually used an action to do it, so I could do it at the beginning. Well, that's wrong. That, to be honest, that's maybe where his timestamp came in and asked me the question. It might have been because there's nothing to say that I can't make a preservation move, whenever I want, unless the unit's disrupted. So, yeah. That was one of the things I wanted. There's a few other things I want to talk about, but it's too late at night for going out of things. I'll maybe take notes and deal with them when it comes to it. Right, what are we doing here again? Yeah, we're making. I took the hit. Yeah, okay. Right then. So, right, what now, Grant? Right, okay. I think I'm going to move this stack because I'm realizing the reason the units underneath are disrupted is because this is overstacked. Pretty sure it is anyway. We've got 2 full strength infantry companies here. So what's firing into there? Blue and yellow, which isn't an issue. In actual fact, then these are units that could move 1.5 and 3 into there. And you know what? That's not a bad idea because then I'd be in range of that too. So I think I might actually move them 1.5 movement into the sugarcane cultivated. Oh, that was one of the things Martin asked and got an answer. The answer wasn't from Joe. I think it was one of the playtesters. He had asked about kind of like whether this was before or after I'd asked about it was a terrain hex and how much was in the hex, what you would take from it. Now was the answer? It was if there was any of the worst case. So although that's got some clear and some sugarcane cultivated, the clear is 1 leg movement. The sugarcane cultivated is 1.5. So I'm pretty sure that was that. The answer was that you took the worst case scenario, I think. So 1.5 movement into there, but I'm going to move into there with the next because this is disrupted in here as well. So it's not as if anything's going to move into there. And I'm going to follow along with both of these as well. Now these are from 125. See, yeah, but Grant, hold on here. Well, hold on though. This is from 125. So that does make some sense. Although these are both coming in from range, aren't they? Because the fact that you can only use the one battalion against us, it feels like I need like 14 strength adjacent, don't I? Rather than I'm going to have the 7 and then I'm going to have 14 halved. However, this HQ's coming as well, so well, we can but try, I suppose. Now that's the regimental HQ, and this is a disrupted engineer. This is disrupted, so we're going to wait until we have to wait until the end of the turn to deal with him. This I don't think I'm going to move. This is from 325, but every move that I'm going to make with it is going to be a movement under fire. So I think I'm as well just staying put with that. I was going to say the only one thing I might have wanted that. There's 9 steps in there. This tank, when it lands, I probably want to get the use of that for an attack on that. However, I could probably land it into here, I think. Because this engineer in here, no, he can't. He can't make a preservation move because he is disrupted. Oh no, he's in a beach hex. Martin clarified that one for me. He doesn't need to be adjacent to a Japanese unit. He's in a beachhead hex disrupted. I wasn't sure about that one, but I'm going to go. He said, yeah, you can make a preservation move with that. So I might actually move that engineer into there. Again, he's disrupted, so I need to do that at the end of the turn. So I'm going to leave these here. These are all disrupted. There's an LVT there that's sitting... Well, you know what? It's an intense brown. Now, hang on, though. We're not going to free action with that one. I need to pay for an action, but it might be worthwhile chucking it in there if I've got a spare action. Well, none of this needs actions. I think there was something in here that we were looking at. See, that's all covered with actions. They've moved. Yeah, this needs an action, and this needs an action. And okay, it seems like a bit of a weak action, but give him an action to move into there, maybe. What is he stacked with? Ah, it's the guy that he's taking 2 hits that unit. Again, actually, he could preservation move as well into there. But does he want to go that way? Because he's part of these guys, is he not? Yeah, he's 225, so... Well, I suppose he could preservation move into there. That's not awful. And... Oh, hang on, that's a preservation move, of course. So, well, do I not want to keep that with that, maybe? I think I possibly do, because these are quite good for cannon fodder. So this is going to be a preservation move, and now that I've worked out I can do that before the end of the turn, unless it's disrupted. Now I'm leaving intense brown, so I'm going to move that into there, I think. And that's into a woods hex with an AFV. Oh, right, there is issues with that then. I'll tell you what, there's a lot to look at in this game, and there's so many more units to try and work your way around. So I would have to do a breakdown check for that if I'd done that. Just because it says LVT, and it's 1 asterisk, and it just. If I was moving this with an LVTA, I think I would only check the LVT. Is that right? Because it has a single asterisk, but it mentions LVT, and that's what we're actually moving. So do I want to go that way and chance him being... Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. So I'm going to draw a card. We don't want a circle. I get a diamond. Okay, so he's fine. Oh yeah, well, these guys are probably want to move into there though, aren't they? This would have to be an action, wouldn't it? G225. That's these guys, I think. Yeah, we kind of want to keep them together, don't we? What, does green fire into there? Yeah, it does. Yeah, I wish I hadn't done that now. I wish I hadn't moved this in, because I've drawn a card now, so I can't go back. Because I want these guys out of that. This is... Oh no, hang on. Oh, it's not as bad. No, they can sit here if they want. That's intense red and intense yellow. There's nothing in that. Okay. So, yeah, this can be preservation as well, though. So I want to move that guy. Preservation. That's going to be an infantry. Right, okay. And then... So... That's 1, 2. So I'll move the engineer preservation move. Well, I'll just leave both of these back here then. No, I kind of want No, I don't want to use the engineer actually. I'm going to move that. However, that means another check again, doesn't it? Okay, and then I'm going to move that. We'll do the check. Hang on, I'll do the check now. So, oh no, I'm not checking him because he's an LVTA. And it says LVT, one asterisk, if no type AFV listed, draw one card for all AFV. Well, there is an AFV type listed, and it says if there's a single asterisk and a type of AFV, draw one card for each unit of that type. So that's okay, I don't need to draw a card for that one, I don't think. And now if I was moving the other LVT in, I would, but I'm not. I'm going to just move that guy in, and then I'm going to move this infantry in. These are preservation moves. And yeah, I think I'm probably going to leave them there. They're safe enough. And then end of turn, I'm going to preservation move that guy into here as well. I mean, he's going to keep his disruption, but he's going to be in a safer hex. So that kind of works. And yeah, some of this other stuff, right. Right, I want to start getting moving. Right, I'm going to move this. This is part of 223. This is 223. But if I can get in range of that, that helps. So I'm going to move these. Now that LET is going to be moving into the woods here. Now, if it's moving down the road, sure, it doesn't need to do these checks, does it? You wouldn't have thought so, eh? I mean, if this LVT moved down this road and into this hex, does it need to check for breakdown when it moves into that woods down the road? I mean, I understand here I'm moving from not a road to the woods, so that kind of makes some sense to check for breakdown. I don't think I've read anything to suggest that I wouldn't still check though. But well, I don't know. Something to look into if anybody wants to comment on that. I'm not really fussy about. Well, these are handy to bring along with you though, Grant, because if you do movement under fire, that's a nice safe. Well, yeah, we could come back. Right, I'm going to draw for that, see if it disrupts a diamond we don't want. Triangle, good. We're pretty lucky with them. And then these two as well. Now this is all infiltration moves, I think. And the idea here is to get these two units. These are from 23. Sorry, these are from 2nd Battalion of 23 Regiment. And they're within range of that. This guy's adjacent to that or that. And I'm now also going to... What we got in here? Yeah, this is just an engineer. Yeah, I'm getting him out of there as well. That's going to be... Yeah, that is going to be a check, but we're bringing that engineer with us in the hope that, well, we've got some cannon fodder, if you like. So I'm going to move these preservation move from there into there. And I'm going to have to do a movement under fire check on green, so we don't want green. And we don't get green. Good. So we take our engineer with us, intact, and all is good in the world. It just feels like there's far more to think about here than the older games. Again, I'm regretting putting that LVT into there. Don't mind the LVTA, but this is 225. There's a disrupted unit under there that I could have preservation moved into there. Obviously, I want this stacked with something, so Oh no, hang on though. Again, there's another reason. Damn. Well, hang on, why not leave him there then? He's not in it. Ah, he is in trouble. He's in brown intense fire, isn't he? But this is in green intense fire. So, right. I think this has taken me far too long, and I'm still not quite finished really, and I don't know what to do with this, and I'm kind of waiting on an answer for that. I think I'm going to wrap this part up here now, guys. I know it's kind of like in the middle of things, and yeah, I'm going to have to be a bit more decisive. I know you're probably laughing at your screen right now. Grant, try to be decisive. But just, try and forget about thinking into it too much, Grant. I feel like I'm getting AP'd quite a lot. So I need to try and steer away from that a bit. Okay, well, this is probably going on, this is almost an hour, and I think I had 20 minutes, so an hour and 20 minutes. I'll cut that here, and then it'll give me time to maybe more relax and do another part just to finish this US action phase. And we'll see how we get on. Now, work, not good the next again couple of days, but then after that, things are better again, so she could be able to get back after that, the end of the weekend, beginning of the next week. So hopefully get a bit more done. I do feel like I want to try and set up Red Storm again. However, no, I've got an issue with that, because I've got my son and one of my friends is going to come over, and I want to say about 2.5 weeks time. So I need a space, I need a table space somewhere. I've got games set up on each table. So I did think, while I'd finished the scenario of Red Storm, I could at least strip that table down. So that kind of hampers me from trying to start setting up the second scenario, really. Anyway, that's something for me to worry about. Okay, I'll be back sometime soon. Okay, cheers.